Hey, I'm Stephanie, and it's time to talk about makeup and vacation and have a swatch party, and it's going to be so much fun. You know you are fresh back from vacation when you're having technical issues galore and yet you're completely emotionally unfazed. This is the third time I have sat down to record this video now, and I'm really hoping that the third time's the charm. Today's video is going to be an update of sorts. A couple of weeks back, I posted a pack with me video because I was getting ready to go on vacation, so we all packed my makeup bag together. And I got a lot of really sweet comments on that video, but two of you were curious to know what I actually used out of all of those makeup items that I packed. I think it was CJ and Haute Mess Tom who said they would be curious to know. As a side note, if you've never watched Haute Mess Tom's channel, you should definitely go check them out because they're really cool, especially if you like people who have like a critical eye on new makeup and beauty releases. They're definitely the place to be. I think, you know, a good place to start is the Critical Sass series that they do, but all of it's good. So I would definitely recommend them, and I'm going to link them in the description so you can go check Haute Mess Tom out. But on this channel today, we're going to be looking at the things that I packed in this makeup bag. Did I overpack? Did I underpack? Did I super pack? Or did I hit that Goldilocks sweet spot and get it just right? So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned. As I do for most of my videos, I will be creating timestamps and chapters for this one, so you can simply skip to the content that's most interesting for you. There are a lot of different types of vacations, so I think for this type of video, it's always good to know a little bit of background information just for some perspective. So I was staying in a tiny, sleepy coastal village in Croatia. It was the off season, so there wasn't really much to do. There wasn't a whole lot of nightlife, but there were so many opportunities to just enjoy the beaches and the beautiful landscapes and take long walks. So the whole point of this vacation for me was basically just to take a step back, take a deep breath, relax, and slow down. So that's exactly what I did. I think a lot of people probably wouldn't even take in makeup with them on a trip like this, but for me, makeup is a relaxing thing to do, and so I just wanted to take it with me. I did my makeup every day except one when I was there, and I used, of course, the bag of makeup we packed to do that. In total, I had packed 24 items. 5 of those items went unused, but the rest of the stuff did get some use, more or less. And I know if I was watching someone else make a video like this, I would want to know all the details. Like, what were the good choices? What were the bad choices? What could they have lived without? And, you know, what was a really good choice? So that's what we're going to be talking about now. Let's start off with primers. I brought 2, both from Bobbi Brown's Vitamin Enriched line. This is the face base. This is the eye base. I was really glad I had these with me. Had I really needed to narrow down what I was bringing with me, I would have just brought the face base because I just use this underneath my eyes because it's a much thinner, more lightweight formula. I just really enjoy using it on the thinner skin under the eyes. But really, like, to be honest, I've never purchased this on its own before. I happened to get this just because it was in a set. Normally, I just buy this. But since I had both of them and I was going on vacation and I wanted to treat myself, I brought both of them and I was glad I had them. I used them every single day, even on the day that I didn't wear makeup, just because I like the way they feel. The scent is really mild, but it's very pleasant. And I just like the way they make my skin feel, and I like the way they make my skin look, even when I'm not wearing makeup. So this was almost like a skincare item for me, and I was happy it was along. Next up, let's talk concealers. I also brought 2, and I wore these every single day that I wore makeup. Now, I didn't need to bring 2 concealers. The only reason that I did was because I'm in the midst of doing like a head-to-head comparison of these 2. And so like I didn't want to stop because I was on a roll. But either one of them, had I just chosen one, would have been perfectly sufficient because they're both beautiful concealers. I also brought 2 foundation products, and I ended up being very glad that I had both of them with me, and I'll get into why in a second. But first, I brought the IT Cosmetics CC cream with me. It's got SPF 50. It's in the shade Light. The SPF 50 ended up being completely irrelevant because I only ever ended up wearing foundation in the evenings when I didn't need SPF. But this is just kind of like a tried and tested favorite that I've used for years. So I thought it would be good to bring with me while traveling. And then I thought I would try one that I'm unfamiliar with, and that's this Charlotte Tilbury Unisex Healthy Glow All Year Hydrating Summer Tint Moisturizer. Because apparently the Charlotte Tilbury marketing team cannot come up with a succinct product name to save their lives. Darlings, Charlotte's development team is now working hard on the bronzing tinted moisturizer. So, what shall we call it? Brainstorm.
What if we just called it Charlotte's Bronzy Skin Tint?
Doesn't really roll off the tongue like our flagship product, Hollywood Flawless Filter for a Superstar Youth Glow.
True. But maybe we've been underestimating the elegance of simplicity.
I suppose, but you see, I have a vendetta against Pauline in graphics. Yes, I'd rather prefer if we could come up with a dramatically long name so that she has to work late trying to find a way to fit it all on a tiny little packaging component. Pauline. So these were the two that I had with me. I used this one the first 2 days, the first 2 evenings, and it worked beautifully, as it always does. But by day 3, I was too bronzed to use this. And so I ended up being very glad that I had this one because it's a bronzing tinted moisturizer. So it was very easy to wear. It's not particularly high coverage, but it did kind of, match my bronzier skin. And I thought it looked really nice. It's kind of just like a first impressions still, but I did enjoy using this. I'm not crazy about the smell. It smells kind of chemically, I guess, but it had a nice finish. I enjoyed using it. I enjoyed wearing it. I felt like I looked nice. When it came to cheek color cosmetic products, I brought my Ford Shade and Illuminate Cream Highlight and Bronzer Duo, and I used it every night because it was perfect, especially once I got bronzed. I have this in the shade 1, and it works for my skin tone all year round. But I have to be kind of careful in the winter months because it can be a little bit much. If I'm not too careful about, if I go overboard with it. But once I'm bronzed, I feel like I could bathe in it, and it was just perfect. So I had a lot of fun using this one, especially as I got to watch my face get bronzed, more bronzed. I could dive deeper and deeper into this palette, and I had so much fun doing that. I was just smear all the bronzer on my face. I was having a bronzer party in the corner by myself in my Airbnb. And I had a lot of fun with it. As for blush, I packed this Patrick Ta blush palette, and it ended up being a really nice decision because the colors of blushes in here were perfect for vacation. Especially this one down here was really nice for a sunburned look. I'm wearing everything on my face today, by the way, or not everything, but most of the things in here I'm wearing on my face today. And this is the blush that I'm wearing. It's the one that I wore the whole time. I actually didn't use the powder ones at all. I only used the creams. But what I liked about them is I could wear them alone as creams, or I could wear them under or over the other blush that I brought. And I liked that because I had been in the elements all day, in the sun, in the salt water, in the wind, and I came home and my face was sometimes a little bit dry. And so, if I did my face of makeup and I had added the powders from the next palette I'm going to talk about, sometimes I felt like I needed just a little bit more hydration, and these cream blushes just served really well for that. I really enjoyed them. I only used this one once. I think I used this one 2 or 3 times, and this one was on my face some mornings, but all of the other evenings. I really enjoyed this one. It was by far my favorite of the trip. As much as I love my cream cheek products, I also wanted to bring some powder products on this trip just because, when it's hot out, sometimes I like to have powders because they can just absorb the glistening a little bit better. And so I brought this palette with me. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Nudegasm Face Palette. And I brought it because it has these 2 powders here, the contour and the bronzer. They've got a really nice, subtle, soft focus gleam to them. I mean, they're not glowy per se. They make your skin just look extremely healthy, beautiful, soft focus. I just enjoy them. And then these two here are very glowy, the highlighter and the blush, very glowy. And so I just really wanted to bring it, use it, because it's a fun palette that I very much enjoy using. And I haven't used it so much as of late. And so I was very happy I brought it with me. And I used this about half the nights that I was there. Now we come to the eyes. Let's start with the primer. I packed my Milani eyeshadow primer and I did not use it once. I think it's because even though I really wanted to do my makeup every day, at the same time, I wanted to see the sights even more. So what I ended up doing was optimizing my makeup time and like really condensing it down into just a few minutes. And so that meant I wanted to focus on the most fun cosmetics. And for me, like eyeshadow primer is necessary, but not fun. And so I just skipped it because let's face it, I was out swimming and hiking and exploring all day. So like I didn't need to have flawless makeup. You know, it was literally just applying it for the fun of it. However, when we're talking about fun, I think this next product was like the star of my makeup bag for me on an emotional level. And it was this Rowan eyeshadow quad. It's the 75 degrees warm quad. And this was so much fun to use. And it was so easy. It was perfect for a trip like this because it's literally 4 one and done shadows. You can take your finger in any one of these, just rub it in there, smear it on your eye, and you can go and you look great. And so I really enjoyed having this with me, not only because I love the way the palette looks, but also because it was a super fast look. Like I didn't have to spend a lot of time finessing these shadows. You can spend a lot of time if you want to, like, and you get very different looks like that. Like you can definitely combine all of these shades as well. But this was like the perfect vacation palette for me because of, you know, the ease of use. And also because I liked that really like unfinished, half undone rock star off the tour bus look that this gives you. But I do realize that these shadows are not for everyone. Like, and the thing is, every time I post about this, either on Instagram or here on YouTube, I tend to get comments or messages with people who also have oily eyelids, just like I do. They're like, oh, I really am interested in those Rowan quads, but I'm really hesitant because they're so expensive. Do you think they'll look good on my eyes? And all I can say is it is really personal preference. Like, it's hard to say, because this is a very unique aesthetic. I haven't been able to get this effect with any other shadow. And so what I'm thinking of doing actually, because there seems to be so much interest, is I think I'm going to actually make a video focusing on my Rowan shadows and doing like a wear test so that you can actually see the way they wear on deep set hooded oily eyelids. When it comes to powder eyeshadows, I brought 2 palettes with me, the Natasha Denona Bronze palette and a tiny 3 shadow custom palette that I bring with me pretty much everywhere just because it has some very basic utilitarian shadows in it. I didn't use either of these once. And it was just because I didn't really have the time. Because, for example, when you look at this Natasha Denona palette, look at the beautiful colors. There's all these different shades. And yes, there's a whole bunch of one and done shadows in here potentially. But when I look at this, I want to play with it. I want to smear all the colors on my eyes and I want to blend them together and I want to make a look, you know, and I just didn't want to spend the time doing it. And so I never ended up using this one because the one and done shadows in the Rowan were just so perfect and so quick and easy. That's just what I gravitated to the whole time. But this was the very first palette that I used upon my return home. And I was very happy to play with it then. I also brought 2 mascaras with me, the L'Oreal Voluminous Waterproof Mascara in brown and the Rimmel Lash Accelerator Mascara in black. This one is not waterproof. And I ended up wearing both of these every single day. I would apply this brown waterproof mascara every morning before I went to the beach, and I would reapply my mascara in the evenings using this Rimmel Lash Accelerator. It was black, so it would like kind of amp up the look just a little bit for the evenings, and it was extra. Like, to be honest, I could have very well have just gotten away with this one waterproof one, but because I enjoy makeup so much, I was happy I had both of them. Editing Stephanie here. The technical issues continue. I have a feeling that my equipment is personally insulted that I didn't take it with me on vacation, and that's why it's acting up. The footage for the next couple of products was corrupted, so I'm just going to talk about them like this. I brought 2 brow products with me on my trip. I brought the MAC Shape and Shade Brow Tint Pen and the e.l.f. Wow Brow Gel. The pen ended up being a super solution for the beach because I could put my brows on in the morning before I left, and this is kind of waterproof-ish, I would say. By the end of the day, and you have to remember, I was in and out of the water all day and reapplying sunscreen every hour. By the end of the day, this had faded, but it hadn't smudged. So it didn't really look like there was much left on my eyebrows, but it was a very natural fade, so I was very happy with that. And then the Wow Brow Gel was a huge hit for me. This was like a very utilitarian win for my makeup bag. Because it's a tinted brow gel, it was just really quick and easy to put on in the evenings. So even on the one day that I didn't wear makeup, I was wearing this in the evening, and it was a perfect solution. The other 2 products that got messed up in the footage were these 2. They're both Nude Sticks magnetic eye color pencils, one in a bronzy shade, Immortal, and a goldy shade is Guilt. I can wear these without a primer. When I wear them without a primer, they fade and crease a tiny bit, but that's kind of miraculous for my eye type, actually. So I think these are really good because even though they do fade and crease a little bit, you have to really look for the fading and creasing. When I wore these to the beach, I wore them pretty much every day, and I wore the bronzy color as an eyeliner on some of the evenings as well. When I wore these, they faded evenly throughout the day. By the time I got home, they weren't on my eyes anymore. But the good thing is they weren't like, smudging all over my face or leaving like shimmery particles everywhere. So like I was able to have fun doing my makeup in the mornings without looking like a disaster by the time I got home. So I consider that a win. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. My most worn product of the entire trip by far was a lipstick. It was my Perricone MD No Lipstick lipstick. And the reason was because it has SPF in it. So I would apply this every single morning before I left for the beach, and then I would apply it every hour on the hour to re-up my sunscreen. It only has SPF 15, which isn't ideal, but it doesn't taste like sunscreen. It doesn't smell like sunscreen. It doesn't feel like sunscreen. It looks, smells, tastes, feels like a lipstick. And it's got a nice, juicy, kind of glossy finish, which I also think is really nice for the beach. And it's really convenient packaging-wise because it's got this, the top actually it's just a normal lipstick, but you have to screw it shut. And that's so convenient for a beach bag. If you're at a sandy beach, the sand can't get in. If you're, just got a normal beach bag and the cap were to come off, you couldn't get lipstick on everything. It's just very convenient all around. I also packed 2 lipsticks to wear in the evenings, Tom Ford Lara and YSL Volupte Tint in Balm Shade 8. Both of them ended up being perfect to bring with me because they're both sheer, comfortable, easy to wear lipsticks for me. Tom Ford's Lara is a warm pink sheer color with very subtle kind of golden shimmers in it. And the shade 8 of the Tint and Balm it looks very velvet in the bullet, but it goes on so sheer, but still gives you just a very subtle pop of color. And I really enjoy that. I'm the sort of person, I don't tend to wear a lot of really vivid in-your-face lip colors in day-to-day life. And the fact that I brought 2 very easy to wear shades was, I think, a very smart decision. I ended up wearing this one half the time and this one half the time. So it worked out perfectly. And the last category that I packed was fragrance. I also brought 2 of these, Escada's Turquoise Summer and a sample of Tom Ford's Eau de Soleil Blanc. I didn't end up wearing either of these, but it wasn't because I forgot about them. It's because Croatia in the spring smells so good. I could not bear to pollute the experience by wearing a fragrance, no matter how beautiful that fragrance might have been. I have never experienced anything like it in my life. We were driving through Croatia. We had just passed through the borders. It was hot in the car, so we rolled down the windows. I mean, we were on the highway. Highways don't smell that great, at least not normally, but oh my gosh. We rolled down the windows and it was like the car was immediately flooded with just this amazing, juicy floral scent. There were all these flowering trees on the sides of the roads. And I don't even know what they are. I'm going to put a picture of the blooms here because I did find them and photograph them. I don't know what they are. If you do, please let me know because I want to know what smells that good. These were just, it was like a mouth-watering, fresh, it was so good. And I was just like, what? Like, we're on the highway. This was my very first impression of Croatia. I was like, wow, Croatia smells awesome. And then later on, we pulled over at a rest stop. Now, I'm from Massachusetts. The rest stops along 495 remind me of kind of dingy, grungy parking lots next to very sad little forests. Like rest stops in Croatia, at least the one that we stopped at was completely different. It had, like we parked the car and then there was this like winding path there and we're like, oh, where does this lead? Like there were these like crooked trees and the evening Mediterranean sun was shining through and we walked down this path and it led to the Mediterranean Sea and like you could just like jump in the water and all you could smell was like an echo of those flowers from the road, but you could also smell the sap from the pine trees and the wind blowing in off the salt water. And it was just amazing. And I was just like, this is like an orchestral symphony for my nose. And there was no way I was gonna wear perfume. Every single area that we went to had its own special scent, whether we were in the grasslands or the forests or by the sea or on the cliffs. It was just mind-blowing. So if you can ever go to Croatia in May, I would recommend it just for the smells. But yeah, so I didn't touch my perfume. And that is my vacation in a makeup bag. What do you think? I definitely didn't underpack, but do you think I overpacked? How would you have optimized this? Also, when you go on vacation, what is one makeup item you would hate to live without? I'm kind of nosy. I'd like to know. So please feel free to let me know in the comments. Other than that, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a wonderful week and that we can all remember that even stumbling can be a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.